Have you ever noticed that people from different areas in the United States say things in different ways? Like some people will say soda, where maybe you say pop, or you'll say caramel and they'll say caramel. Well, this entire book, Speaking American, How Y'all, Use, and You Guys Talk, is about exactly those kinds of dialectical differences in different areas of the United States. The book is this beautiful collection of 122 different colored heat maps of how people pronounce or say different words or concepts in the United States. And it's got a number of other fun features as well. It's a great little coffee table book. This is actually a new edition of the book. I had an old edition of it, and it was always one of my favorite coffee table books. People would always be super interested in it. It was a great conversation starter. So let me show you a few examples of some of the maps in this book. So here's a map of the different words that people use for fizzy drinks. As you can see, some areas say soda, some say pop, and some say Coke. And here's a map of whether people say caramel with one or two syllables. As you can see, in the South and on the East Coast, a lot of people say this word with 3 syllables, and then most everywhere else in the United States, they say it with 2 syllables, except for some urban centers in California. It's got a bunch of other controversial ones in there too, like pecan or pecan, or however you want to pronounce it. Kitty corner versus catty corner. The second person plural, so whether you say y'all, yous, you guys, yins, any of those. It even talks about whether or not you pronounce the words caught, C-O-T, and caught, C-A-U-G-H-T, in the same way. An increasing number of people in the United States have, since the 1950s, been merging those two vowels and pronouncing them the same way, but there's still a good portion of the United States that pronounce them differently. In fact, this is one of the things that I like about the book too, is that sometimes it also shows you a diachronic/historical perspective. So for that caught merger, you can see, here's the map of the merger, but then it also includes kind of a history of how that's changed over time. Over here, it includes a graph showing what percentage of speakers have said those two vowels the same versus differently over time. And then over here, you can actually see the different maps of the United States and different points in history. So I think that's a really cool feature. There are 2 reasons in particular why I really love this book. First, it's a beautiful demonstration of just the amount of linguistic diversity in the United States. It's hard to look at these different ways of saying things and not think like, wow, this is really kind of neat that there are so many ways you can say all of this. To highlight some of that diversity, there's even a map in here showing what percentage of people speak Spanish at home. So I was really happy to see that included as well, to show some of the linguistic diversity of the United States. The other reason I really like this book is that it shows that there's really no correct way to speak American English. When you look at maps like these and you see kind of just the gradual change from one region to another, you know, it makes it pretty clear that like no particular region is correct. These different ways of saying things or pronouncing things are just different. None of them are necessarily better than others. Some dialects might have more social prestige attached to them, and that's true, but from a linguistic perspective, there's nothing inherently better about any of these dialects, and Speaking American really does a nice job of kind of illustrating that in a graphic way. So it's one of the things I love most about this book. One of my favorite things to do when guests come over is to pull out this book and go through the maps here and ask what, you know, how they say things, what their opinion on things are. It starts all sorts of fun conversations. Everybody seems to really enjoy it. Another really fun thing about this book is it has little sections throughout that tell you how to tell whether you're from a certain area. So for example, if you call something an expressway, or you refer to the type of shoes you wear to the gym as gym shoes rather than tennis shoes or sneakers, there's a 95% chance you are from Chicago. My only criticism of the book is that it doesn't use the International Phonetic Alphabet to write out the pronunciations. Instead, it uses this kind of like naive or folk transcription that you see in certain dictionaries instead. So for crayons, or however you'd like to pronounce it, you can see here that the spellings are just kind of written in this sort of like faux English. But you can still tell exactly what it is that he's intending to say. The data for this book is based on Josh Katz's own research. He's a statistician rather than a linguist, although he did base a lot of the work in this book on earlier work by Bert Vogt as well. So overall, Speaking American is one of my favorite coffee table books. I can't recommend it highly enough. It is a must-have for any language lover. If you'd like to buy your own copy and support my content in the process, you can do so in the link below. And I hope you enjoy the book.